Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 54 of Enter Crypto, where we keep you informed on a bi-daily basis. If you are interested in keeping fully up to date on all things crypto, then subscribe to the channel. We put out a new video every 12 hours. So the article I've got for you this evening is from CNBC's tech section, and it's written by Ryan Brown, and it's titled Tim Draper predicts Bitcoin will reach $250,000 next year despite FTX collapse. The dam is about to break. So it's slightly sensational, this title. Tim Draper, if you don't know, is a venture capitalist, very successful venture capitalist. I think he got in on Facebook very early and Coinbase very early. So he's a multi-millionaire, if not billionaire. So he does know his stuff. But I think he's been very optimistic when it comes to Bitcoin's price, but we'll see. So Draper previously predicted that Bitcoin would top $250,000 by the end of 2022. He told CNBC that $250,000 is still my number. Despite the digital coin's more than 60% drop this year, the venture capitalist is extending his prediction by 6 months. Well, he has to really, doesn't he? Because I think the chances of Bitcoin getting to 250k by the end of this year, which is basically 3 weeks, is slim, to put it bluntly. Venture capitalist Tim Draper thinks Bitcoin will hit $250,000 a coin by the middle of 2023. Even after a bruising year for the cryptocurrency market by industry failures and sinking prices, Draper previously predicted that Bitcoin would top $250,000 by the end of 2022, but in early November at the Web Summit Tech Conference in Lisbon, he said it would take until June 2023 for this to materialize. He reaffirmed this position Saturday when asked how he felt about his price call following the collapse of FTX. And he said, "I have extended my prediction by 6 months. 250k is still my number," Draper told CNBC via email. Bitcoin would need to rally nearly 1,400% from its current price of around $17,000 for Draper's prediction to come true. The cryptocurrency has plunged over 60% since the start of the year. Digital currencies are in the doldrums as tighter money policy from the Fed and a chain reaction of bankruptcies at major industry firms including Terra, Celsius and FTX have put intense pressure on prices. FTX's demise has also worsened an already severe liquidity crisis in the industry. Crypto exchange Gemini and lender Genesis are among the firms said to be impacted by the fallout from FTX's insolvency. Last week, veteran investor Mobius told CNBC that Bitcoin could crash to $10,000 next year, a more than 40% plunge from current prices. The co-founder of Mobius Capital Partners correctly called the drop to 20k this year. Nevertheless, Draper is convinced that Bitcoin, the world's largest cryptocurrency, is set to rise in the new year. "I expect a flight to quality and decentralized crypto like Bitcoin, and for some of the weaker coins to become relics." And this is the danger with when predicting prices. The fact is that nobody knows the future. Nobody knows what price Bitcoin's going to be in 6 months. Nobody knows what Bitcoin price is going to be tomorrow. If they did, they would be longing Bitcoin massively. And if, for example, the second guy that thought that Bitcoin's going to go to 10k next year, well, it's 17 now, so why don't you short it? You would, wouldn't you? If you truly believed that, you would short Bitcoin. And if you truly believed it was going to be 250k next year, as soon as summer next year, wouldn't you long it? So it's not. I think that even these guys that are making these predictions, even they know that they don't know the future. Anybody that tells you that they do and that they can say how much Bitcoin's going to be and is either lying or mistaken, or a charlatan and thinks that they know but they don't really, and they're trying to predict, just like a palm reader or somebody that looks into a crystal ball and tells you the future. It's nonsense. It's just total nonsense. So bear that in mind. There is nobody knows. There are no certainties in any of this. There are only probabilities and likelihoods, and you make trades based on that. Draper, the founder of Draper Associates, is one of Silicon Valley's best-known investors. He made successful bets on tech companies including Tesla, Skype, and Baidu. So there's three that I didn't even know that he'd invested in. So he's got really lucky. Well, I don't know if you call it lucky, but he's been very successful. In 2014, Draper purchased almost 30,000 bitcoins confiscated by US Marshals from the Silk Road dark web marketplace for $18.7 million. That year, he predicted the price of Bitcoin would go to 10K in 3 years. Bitcoin went on to climb close to $20,000 in 2017. Now, for example, when he's saying it's when the current price was $10,000, and he's saying that it's going to go up massively and it's going to go to, when it was less than 10,000, but he's predicting it's going to go to 10,000, and then it actually goes to 20K. He will then come out and say, well, you see how right I was. Not only was I right, but I was actually underestimating how far it would go up. And so it almost authenticates what he said, and people look at that and they say, right, well, this guy knows what he's talking about. Next time, if he's saying it's going to go to 250K by summer next year, it's going to happen. In reality, could it happen? Yes, of course it could happen. But what are the chances of it, and what are the probabilities of it happening in a recession, or even if you want to say, even if the recession ended today, what are the chances that he would be right, and that just coming out of a recession only 6 months later, if it ended today, of him being right, of it being $250,000, I think the chances are very slim. But that's why I talk in probabilities and likelihood and chances, because that's all you've got. No human being knows what the price will be. And he's proven that, because he thought that it would go to 250K this year. He's obviously not going to do that. And so what has he done? He's changed his timeline, because he didn't know. The fact is, he just did not know. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nobody knows. But what's wrong is that he claims to know, and that's what's wrong. Some of Draper's other bets have soured, however. He invested in Theranos, a health startup that falsely claimed it was able to detect diseases with a few drops of blood. Elizabeth Holmes, Theranos founder, has been sentenced to 11 years in prison for fraud. That happened quite recently. She got sentenced, I think, a couple of weeks ago. The dam is about to break. Draper's rationale for Bitcoin's breakout next year is that there remains a massive untapped demographic for Bitcoin: women. My assumption is that since women control 80% of retail spending and only 1 in 7 Bitcoin wallets are currently held by women, the dam is about to break, Draper said. Crypto has long had a gender disparity problem, according to a survey conducted for CNBC and Acorns by Momentive. Twice as many men as women invest in digital assets. Now, I would be interested to know, women generally, on the whole, are not as interested in finance and investment as men are. That's just a fact. That's not being sexist. They're just not interested. The numbers speak for themselves. When I look at the analytics for my videos, this is obviously a crypto channel, and it sometimes ventures slightly out into the finance world. 96% of my viewers are men. Now that's just overwhelmingly large amount, and it's available to all. YouTube is available to all. So why would I only have 4% of my viewers female? And it's just because they're not interested, I imagine. Who knows? But I know that the numbers are correct. Retailers will save roughly 2% on every purchase made in Bitcoin versus dollars, Draper added. Once retailers realize that the 2% can double their profits, Bitcoin will be ubiquitous. Payment middlemen such as Visa and MasterCard currently charge fees as high as 2% each time credit card holders use their card to pay for something. Bitcoin offers a way for people to bypass the middlemen. However, using the digital coin for everyday spending is tough, since its price is very volatile and the coin is not widely accepted as currency. When people can buy their food, clothing and shelter all in Bitcoin, they will have no use for centralized banking fiat dollars, Draper said, which I do agree with, and that's why it's very important to, whether it's Bitcoin, I don't know, but it could be Bitcoin, ETH, it could be Monero, who knows. But once people start realizing, maybe when the government brings out the CBDCs and they start controlling what you can spend and you can't spend, people are going to start looking for alternatives. And Bitcoin's just going to be sat there waiting, and it's going to be there, and you can't stop it. You can't stop a peer-to-peer transaction. So there's going to be a big problem for the government. Management of fiat is centralised and erratic. When a politician decides to spend $10 trillion, your dollars become worth about 82 cents. Meaning that you have a dollar, but he's talking about the purchasing power of a dollar. So when they decide to spend or print $10 trillion, your $1 now only has the purchasing power of 82 cents. Then the Fed needs to raise rates to make up for the spend, and those arbitrary centralised decisions create an inconsistent economy. He added, fiat currencies derive their worth from their issuing government, unlike cryptocurrencies. Meanwhile, the next so-called Bitcoin halving, which cuts the Bitcoin rewards to Bitcoin miners, in 2024 will also boost the cryptocurrency according to Draper, as it chokes the supply over time. The total number of Bitcoins that will ever be mined is capped at 21 million. So basically what he's saying there is that every 4 years we have a Bitcoin halving where the rewards get cut in half essentially. And so that's Bitcoin's disinflationary protocol being put into action. Now, for anyone who doesn't know why I use the word disinflationary and not deflationary, is when we talk about currencies, we often talk about government currencies like the pound and the euro and the dollar, the yen, the renminbi and what have you. We talk about inflation because they are always inflating. There's always, every year, going to be more in circulation. There just always is. And now, so it's quite a strange concept that any form of money, when you're interested in finance, when you're involved in finance, that would be deflationary. And deflationary would be when the amount is now, let's say, just for example, there's $10 trillion in circulation, just for example. If next year there's only $9 trillion in circulation, it means that the government's taken some of that money out, and now we've had a 10% deflation. So there's only $9 trillion now going around for everybody to use, as opposed to $10 trillion the year before. So that's deflation. Inflation of 10% would be, last year there was $10 trillion and now there's $11 trillion, and so now we've got 10% inflation. I'm not talking about CPI, I'm not talking about price of goods or inflation when we talk about inflation, price inflation. I'm talking purely on circulation and quantitative easing, quantitative tightening. That's all I'm talking about, purely as far as the currency is concerned. Now Bitcoin is neither. So Bitcoin inflates every day, every block it issues a reward. So it's inflationary in that aspect. However, every 4 years, if, for example, it's giving out 10 Bitcoin per day now, in 4 years at the halving, it will then the protocol will then is programmed to give out only 5 Bitcoin per day. So even though it's inflating, every 4 years it halves. And it will do that another 4 years, until it essentially reaches zero, which will be around the year 2140. So we've got a good 118 years from now before Bitcoin actually stops giving out any rewards properly. And so it's actually not inflationary, not deflationary, because the circulating supply doesn't go down, but it's disinflationary. So it still inflates, but the rate of inflation goes down over time. And in Bitcoin, this is known as the halving. It happens every 4 years. So that's what I've got for you this evening. Remember, everybody, to please subscribe to the channel, join our team. We will keep you updated on all things crypto every 12 hours. Smash the like button if you feel you got value from this video, and I'll see you all in 12 hours time.